Hi guys, it's Hallie. Today is October 20th. We all know what that means. Today was our consultation at 9 in the morning, which was very early since we live an hour away. And yes, we are slackers and we do not wake up until like 11 because my husband doesn't get off work until 3. I usually stay up to wait for him to get home. And then, 8 hours, that's 11. But anyway, we woke up early today for our appointment, and I will let you know how it went. Basically, we had some questions we wanted to ask them, and here is what they said. We wanted to know what makeup the cost was for the total IVF. They said half of the cost is for the procedure, and half of the cost is for the medication. We know the procedure itself is covered by our insurance. The medication, we're still researching that a little bit. I know one of the main medications is a $100 copay, and I think there's only one other medication besides that. Now, the reason for our infertility, it's partially him, partially me, which I only thought it was a little bit me. We just thought it was because of low sperm count, but it turns out I am the problem as well. So, before we thought it was a low sperm count, we thought, well, try to say this in good terms here. We thought that, when we were having sex, if he ejaculated and then, we kept going and he ejaculated again, we figured, if he ejaculated 500,000 sperm, and obviously each time it would probably diminish little by little, but we were thinking, if he ejaculated a couple more times within the same hour, within so many minutes, that it would just add to the army that he previously sent in, for lack of a better word. Now, the doctor said that's not true, that it doesn't really matter if you do it once or, 10 times, just doesn't matter. We asked how much it is to freeze the embryo. It's $50 a month, so if for some reason, when I do produce eggs and they go to do the retrieval, if there's, a couple extra good eggs, then we probably will freeze. And we found out our insurance covers frozen embryo transfers. How awesome is that? So basically, no money for hormones, no money for medication. All I have to do is do the frozen embryo transfer. So, I could be wrong again, but it kind of sounds like whenever we want to have a kid again, it would be free, which would be awesome. Now, I didn't know anything about the difference between a reproductive endocrinologist and an OB. I understand one is for infertility and they work out issues like that, and the other person is, the OB, is for, gynecological and pregnant people. So I wasn't sure if the RE, the fertility specialist, since he's helping us get pregnant, if he would see us through our pregnancy and deliver us, or if it would be our regular obstetrician that would deliver us. He said, which I'm sure many of you know the answer, but for those who don't, he said that it would be our OB who still delivered us. He said basically his job is just to put us a piece of pizza, or a pie of pizza in the oven, and they monitor it for the first, 3 to 4 weeks, and then after the pizza's in the oven, they give it to the bread man, and then he takes it out. Our doctor's funny. He's awesome. Maximum number of embryos that they can transfer is 3. He said from our situation, he'd really want to do 2, but he can do 3 if we request it. I asked if there was a higher miscarriage rate because they said the chance of success for us is anywhere from 50 to 60%. Now, the chance of that ending up in live birth is 40 to 50%. So, obviously, if there's a chance of getting pregnant and then a chance of live birth with such a 10 to 20% change there, obviously, I figured there would be a high miscarriage rate. He said it's not really true. There isn't more miscarriages. It's pretty much about the same number as usual. The only thing that makes a difference is if you are like, oh, I just want to have kids, and then you just jump into IVF without checking your whole entire body out first and making sure your system's okay, then, you put yourself more at risk for that. But if you're in a situation like us where you really only get one try and you don't want to waste time and you want to just do it once and do it right. And even if you have the money, I mean, it's a lot to put on your body. I mean, getting shots all the time, and I can imagine how unfun it is. But he said, you know, I have some tests I have to get done. I have to check some things out, see if a couple chemical levels have altered. And what else? Now, I figured that we would go for a consultation. Hopefully everything would get okay since, you know, our insurance covers it. And that we would be starting IVF our very next cycle, which would be November 11th. However, that's not true. He wants to see me back. I have to call when I start my cycle, obviously. But it would be around November 11th. They want to see me on day 3 for my ultrasound. And they're going to do blood work and all that fun stuff. They want my husband to do another semen analysis, as the last one was over a year ago. And they would... For some reason, our doctor went out on medical leave, and then I guess when he was on leave, he just decided that he wasn't going to come back. So another doctor has replaced him, but it's okay. He's a Greek guy. He's very funny. Greek and great, in case you weren't sure which one I said. He's great and he's Greek. He's very awesome. But and he's funny, which is great to have in, you know, a stressful situation like that. But yeah, so they said that he wasn't coming back, so they would give us this new doctor. Well, for some reason, the doctor that we had before said that my husband's sperm count was 500,000. And that's what the embryologist had said as well, that it was 500,000. Which gave us a less than 1% chance at getting pregnant, which I did all the math, and I think it was like 0.01%. I'm like, I better start buying lottery tickets, because it's either we're going to get pregnant or we're going to win the lottery. Which one do I want here? I would choose getting pregnant, by the way. So the guy that we talked to today, the new doctor, he said that my husband has 3.4 million sperm. So he's in the millions. And it's funny before, because my husband was all like, oh, I feel like I'm not a man, you know, whatever. And then when we left, he was like, at least I feel like I'm half a man now. I'm in the millions. And it's good now, because before he was so stressed out and he was so depressed about it. But at least we're getting to the point where we can joke about it, which is good, because I'm not funny. I try to be funny, but I'm not that funny. But he's very funny. Oh, yeah. So, basically, it's going to set us back a couple months. When I do these tests, like I'm probably going to totally mispronounce it, but I'm going to say it's the postgrandial test, which is like a sugar test, kind of what they do to test people for diabetes, but this is to see, you know, how everything's going, and it's like the sugar test or whatever. Now, as long as everything comes back okay with that, he said that we would most likely start our process in January, which is a couple months later than we thought, but it'll just give us some more time to get our finances together and pay off a couple more bills before the baby comes, or before we even start the process even. And he said if for some reason, you know, with the test, if it comes back, you know, having a bad result, that we would, you know, address the problem. And he said all it'll take is just a couple extra months, and, you know, depending on what they want me to do, like medication or whatever else, just a couple months. And he said if for some reason it does come back negative, then we'll probably start the IVF process in spring of 2010. So that's not bad. It's like, what, 3 or 4 extra months? Maybe 5? Depending on if he's talking about mid-spring, early spring, late spring. For any of you who are going to take the postgrandial test, if you're just in the beginning of your process of finding out as to why you are having trouble conceiving, when you take your paperwork to LabCorp or whoever you take it to do the testing, make sure you tell them it's not for a diabetes test, that it's, you know, it has very specific instructions that go with it. I can show you mine. Like, here's the order request. And then here's, like, the instructions. And they have to take, like, it's, you know, different tubes, and basically they give this to us because some people, it's a 4-hour-long test. They make you drink sugar water, and then I guess they evaluate you or draw blood or whatever it is they do. I don't know. I'll let you know when I get it done, which will be probably within the next 7 days.